Hey guys, it's Rod from Civil Advantage Firearms Training. Another Ask Civil Advantage episode here. This is a big one. Okay, this is the biggest question right here. This was by email from Ian T. Not E and T, it's Ian T. So, hi Rod, thanks for all your videos, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to decide whether or not to focus my budget on the AR platform or go with a non-restricted platform like the CZ or VZ rifles. Any insight you can provide would be appreciated. Insight, I got 15 minutes worth of insight, but I'll try to make it. I got insight all day long on that because I wanted to make, and I choose these questions for a reason, right? I wanted to make a video on this exact thing. I haven't had time. I've been running all over the place. You guys know what life is like. But I did end up spending a little bit of money, modernizing or accessorizing my CZ858 in preparation to have a kind of a battle of the platforms, AR versus CZ or VZ. I'm not going to consider myself a VZ expert whatsoever or a CZ expert. For that, I got my old buddy CF Claude there. The guy is a VZ fanatic, knows everything about everything when it comes to those rifles, but I know enough maybe to be dangerous, as do we all. Okay. So here was my thought originally. I'm all AR, AR, and then I'm thinking, well, geez, that 223 is kind of expensive. The 7.62 by 39 is a bigger punch, really great ammo. I was talking about that in one of the other videos, how great the ammo is that we're getting right now. It's wonderful. It's inexpensive. It's a big bullet. It's a real rifle. It's serious business. And yeah, there's a lot of great reasons. And so anyway, I kitted up this rifle, and I wanted to start using that to train. But then I got it. I created my own little training group there, and we're running around, and it's all ARs again. And you know what? I love the AR. But nonetheless, I have had some experience with the CZ, so here it goes. The AR. Why do I want an AR-15? The AR-15 is awesome. There's one on my list. Anyway, I got a list here. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Cheap parts. Okay, cheap parts. Man, I got a magazine release, an exaggerated magazine release right here. I don't even know what I paid for that thing. Like $11. I got a nice rubber butt pad here, so this thing doesn't slip off my shoulder like it ever does. But anyway, I wanted something a little bit meatier there. What did I pay for this? $8. Like it goes on and on and on with the AR. There's a million different varieties of parts, and they're as inexpensive as any gun parts will ever be. So that's awesome. The AR itself is just a beautiful platform. It's thin, right? Really, really skinny. It's very lightweight. It's easy to maneuver. It's awesome. Of course, it shoots commonly available ammunition, 5.56 NATO. It's a gun that everybody understands. It's a gun that most people can work on. It is a relatively simple gun when you look at its operation as well, like, to clean it and maintenance and whatnot. It is super reliable. As you guys know, this old guy's been in every video since I started, and we're coming up on 8,000 rounds. Still not a single malfunction. Chinese AR, Norinco. 8,000 rounds, man. I don't know how I could ask. I would bet my life on this rifle. Seriously. I'm not planning to do that anytime soon, hopefully. But I'm serious. I would go into battle with this rifle. That's how much faith I have in it. So it's just been fantastic. Magazines are everywhere, man. AR mags, no problem. They are literally tens of millions of these things. Probably even in, I don't know, in Canada. Yeah, maybe in Canada. Who knows, right? Some people have a lot of mags, but that's a pretty big number. Certainly in the United States, probably 100 million magazines. Who even knows, right? These mags are everywhere. You can get them in 10 rounds, in 30 rounds, in the little stubby 5-round ones, in the 20-round old M16 style. Like, just everywhere, right? And magazines are really important, right? If you guys have a rifle, you know, and I always say you need 6 mags minimum. Don't even buy the rifle if you can't afford 6 mags. Don't do it. Just wait till you have enough money to have 6 mags. And you need, for all practical purposes, you need 10. So take that into consideration too. They are accurate rifles. They're lightweight and they are accurate. They're accurate far. I'm not even going to quote how accurate they're out there because I've never shot one that far. The longest shot I ever made was 300 yards, but that was a really expensive AR, you know, sitting on a bench, had a spotter, everything, right? And it took me all day to hit stuff at 300 yards, but more accurate than I ever needed to be. There's no recoil, okay? And it's, you know, some people call it a 22. It's not a 22, as you guys know. I mean, the bullets come out of this thing, 14.5-inch barrel. You're probably looking at 2,900 feet per second. You know, it's a real rifle, but there's no recoil to speak of, which means that you can put successive shots on target fast without spending that much time to reacquire the target. And that's important. And you want to be able to control the firearm. That's important too. So ARs are great that way. You know what? Here's a little clip of the AR, and we'll compare that with the CZ after. Okay, so mounting sights. Mounting a sight on an AR, it can't get any easier. Like, it just literally can't. There is no physical way for it to be any easier. Okay, you take the carry handle off with 2 nuts and you have a rail underneath. And then you take your sight and you stick it on the stinking rail. Okay, the AR ejects to the right in 99.999% of the time. I'm sure someone makes an AR that ejects the other way and it's, you know, whatever, $3,000. But this is a side ejecting firearm. You just take the mount, you take the optic and you mount it anywhere you want. Boom, done. Plus you can get a flat top. And some of these have monolithic uppers, meaning that they're all one piece. You can put this optic anywhere you want. It's no problem. So that, mounting optics can't be easier. Ergonomics. Okay, this is, man, I'm turning this into a video about ARs. I'm trying to move along, guys. Ergonomics. The ergonomics on the AR-15 are what all other rifles in the world have been compared to. More new rifles have come out. You know, you have the SCAR, you have the XCR, you have the F2000, you have these futuristic rifles, the Tavor. All of them are trying to beat the ergonomics of the AR-15. Why do you think that we still use this in this modern day and age in our armed forces after, since the late 50s, 60s, right? So, I mean, it's just a great rifle. The ergonomics are perfect. Everything's where it should be, very easily manipulated. All your gear, think about your gear for an AR. Plate carriers and, well, not so much the plate carriers, right? But mag pouches and fast mag pouches and battle belts and drop leg rigs and you name it, it's made for AR mags. So all your gear is going to be less expensive and your gear is going to be more available. They are easy to acquire. Where can't you get an AR these days? You know, I was just at the corner store, they had ARs there. I'm just kidding. But you guys know what I mean. They're everywhere. They can be inexpensive. Certainly in Canada, they're still inexpensive. Thank goodness for that embargo to the US. So they'd probably be just as much as all the other ARs because, they'd be, Norinco would be cashing in, or Polytech, whoever you want to call them, depending on the day of the week, I guess. But, $6.99, how can you go wrong? This is a real AR. It's awesome. What else do we have? They look cool. Endless accessories. You name it, it's out there. And of course, if you're military, the ammunition itself is very light, 223, right? It's very light cartridge, and of course the lethality is pretty significant. That's if you're law enforcement or military, so that's a great reason to have, a rifle like that. The one negative in Canada, restricted. Can't shoot it anywhere but an approved shooting range. Okay, I want to say one thing about that. I know I'm going on and on, guys, but it's a big question. It's important, right? Because this is going to influence, certainly my buying decision's been influenced. Is it a big deal that it's restricted? And I actually have this discussion with people all the time. And yeah, it sucks that it's restricted. Is there a reason that it should be restricted? Absolutely not. It's just a semi-auto rifle, just like any other semi-auto rifle, for God's sakes, right? That said, you know what? If this wasn't restricted, would I be out in the bush training with it? I probably wouldn't, because it's like once you get into the whole range thing, this is where I meet up with my training buddies. We all meet at the range because we have we have barrels there. We have tables to put all our gear out there. We have shelter if it's raining, because it rains a lot here, right? Everything's there at the range, and we can drive right up to wherever it is we're shooting. And a lot of times we have the place to ourselves. So we're running and gunning. We're doing all kinds of stuff. So I really don't know that if this was non-restricted, I'd be meeting them out in the bush to train. I don't know. Maybe. I'm torn on that one. Okay, so restricted, it's a negative, but not that negative. Whew, man, I gotta take a break after that. All right, the CZ 858 or the VZ 58. Awesome rifles, man. Awesome. So, what's great about this non-restricted? If you have the non-restricted version, it is great that it's non-restricted, but there's a negative that goes along with that, and here it is, guys, this big, long, freaking barrel. It's ridiculous. Now with the CZ858, the barrel is really thin. Man, this thing gets hot fast. In fact, funny thing, I had a guy actually, when I handed him the rifle like this, he grabbed it by the barrel, and I've been shooting the crap out of that thing. So he got branded a little. So anyway, really thin barrel. This thing gets really hot fast. But nonetheless, if you have the non-restricted version, you're going to have to deal with that barrel length. Again, for me, being around 5'10", this thing's going to be smashing me in the legs if I ever slung it in front of me, single point sling kind of thing, right? Single point isn't even an option actually with this rifle for me. I'm not tall enough for that. Now, super cheap ammo, right? You guys know how I feel about this the 7.62x39, especially the stuff we're getting. It's awesome, and it's so cheap, and it's preserved for me. It's in the Spam cans or in the zinc, sealed, right? In the case of the Czech ammo, and that stuff's awesome. And it's military ammunition. It's a big, heavy bullet. It's a powerful cartridge. The military ammunition that we get is it's armor piercing, right? It has a steel core in there, goes through everything. It's awesome. Tons of fun, right? Big boom. It's great, and you can shoot all day. It's not expensive. So that is a huge deal, and that's one of the reasons why I want to get into this platform. That's the biggest reason. You can customize these things, especially Fab Defense. They make beautiful stuff. I mentioned that in the other video. Gorgeous stuff. So there are some accessories out there, but I certainly wouldn't call it cheap. Now, here is, I'm going to keep going on the positives. Ultra reliable. Okay, this is a short stroke piston system. I'll see if while I'm talking I can disassemble this. Oh, look, I can. There you go, piston's out. I can wipe that all down. I can wipe down in here, throw a patch through this area, pull the spring out, throw the patch through there a couple of times. Done. Gas system's cleaned. So super, super simple, ultra reliable. The short stroke piston system is awesome. Super. I can't say enough about it. It's never fail you. So they're very simple firearms to disassemble and reassemble. Very simple firearms to clean. And they're relatively ergonomic, but we'll talk more about that in a second. So they can be customized, really reliable, super simple, reasonably priced, but we'll explore that in a second. And relatively common. A lot of guys have them. So it's still good. The one thing is that the magazines for the CZ VZ family of rifles, the magazines themselves have this ridge, and they have a feature that the AK-47 doesn't. Even though this looks like an AK mag, even though it's almost identical to an AK mag, they have this feature, which is this little ridge, and that's part of the follower comes up and holds the bolt open on the last round when the last round is expended. So it has a bolt hold open. Awesome feature, because that's what the AK is missing, or it would be the perfect rifle, in its own right, right? But you know, now you have a specialized magazine. These aren't that expensive. You're getting them for about 30 bucks. So that's not bad. They are very durable. So that's kind of cool. But just, it is what it is. The one good thing is if you buy the CZ858, comes with 4 mags. So that's really cool. You're halfway to where you need to be. On the negatives, I mentioned the long barrel. That's a negative for me. Because the thing is, if I get a shorter barrel, I got a restricted firearm anyway. So why don't I just get myself an AR? Parts are expensive. I want to give you guys an example. This is really important for you to know. For me to be able to change mags, now one of the reasons why I wanted to go this route was because I saw a video and a guy changed mags basically as fast as I could change a mag on my AR. You know, when I don't screw up and not change it fast, if you know what I mean, right? Basically the stuff that I'll put on the video is that was easy, right? But anyway, he changed the mag almost as fast as an AR. I'm like, or probably just as fast as my fastest time with an AR. I'm like, oh my God, how does he do that? Well, he has an ambidextrous mag release, first thing. So basically he takes a mag out of his pouch, he hits this ambidextrous mag release, whacks the other mag with the mag that's in his hand, and then slaps that one in there. Okay, that's how it's done. You see that in some video games too. And then he has what I've got here, which is a tactical bolt release. So basically he pushes forward, whacks that mag out of the way, pops that in, hits the bolt release, bolt closes, and he's up again and he's shooting. Okay, fair enough. That just the bolt release itself is 70 bucks plus shipping, tax and shipping. Well, I don't think I paid tax. I bought it from Zoll, right? But $70 for this little piece of metal. Don't let my wife find out that I paid 70 bucks for this thing about this big. She'd be like, well, you could have bought me, you know, jewelry for 70 bucks if you're gonna buy something. But I'm like, oh, it's a lot more fun than jewelry. The ambidextrous mag release I don't have yet. Why? Because it's another 70 bucks. So think about that for a second. By the time I'm done there, I pay $6.99 for the rifle. I pay another 200 bucks for my bolt release and my mag release, right? So now I'm almost at an AR mag changing, you know, I'm almost at par there. So now I'm up at 900 bucks. Then for me to mount an optic, it's almost impossible to mount optics on this thing. Either I have to get the optic mountable, because this thing, you know, it ejects upwards like an M14. I have to get the dust cover that has a optic mount on it. 250 bucks, no, 280 I think. Okay, now I'm up like $1,300. I'm like, I'm not paying 280 for that. I can't do it. I'll never sleep at night. Well, I'll be sleeping in the doghouse is where I'll be sleeping. Instead, I get the whole 4-end piece because now I got a tactical rail here and I've got one underneath here. Well now, guys, right? I can't use a regular scope, telescopic sight, because the eye relief is too long. I'm gonna have to use a pistol scope if I put a scope on here. My other choice is to put some kind of optic like an EOTech or a Lucid or a Vortex or something like that, right? I gotta put it way up here. So you guys, some of you guys might go, yeah, that's awesome. There's an advantage to doing that, by the way. Or you might say, no, that sucks. It's just too far away from my eye. The advantage to putting a scope far away from your eye like that is that if you guys do this, take your hand, go like this, hold your hand close to your eye, and you can see how much of your field of vision that optic takes when it's up close to your face, versus when you hold your hand farther away from you, you see a lot more of the surrounding area, and the scope is not as big in your, or the optic isn't as big in your field of vision. So anyway, those are the minuses. So the whole point is that if I'm going to spend $1,300 on a rifle, that's a tough one, right? 1,300 bucks just to get it to the point where it's equivalent to the AR. That doesn't mean I haven't even bought an optic yet. So for 1,300 bucks, I can almost buy a Daniel Defense AR, right? You know, if I want to go that far. So something to think about. Now, recoil issues. The recoil is going to be a little bit harsher. It's not harsh, you know, don't get me wrong, but it's just going to be more significant and it's going to take you off target a little bit more. So you're not going to be able to throw as many rounds directly on target as fast as you would with something just like a 22, right? Even if you had a 22, no recoil, you can hit the target without going off the target a lot easier when there's rapid fire. And gear availability. So that's the last thing. Oh man, we made it through. gear availability, if I went to something like Ops Gear, those guys are awesome. By the way, they're in Utah, I believe. Buy a lot of stuff from those guys. If I go to Ops Gear and I look at my options for AK mags, mag pouches versus AR, it's not even there's no comparison at all. And guess what? They're not AK mags, right? These are wider than AK mags. They have this little ridge on here. Even AK mags, they're tight. So I don't know. I haven't bought any. I bought these universal ones, which are big and bulky. So I can't tell you about the Kangaroo mags for AK mags from Condor or anything, whether they'll fit these mags or not. But there's a chance they might not. So if you guys know that, please put it in the comments. So what is it at the end of the day? At the end of the day, the battery of arms, or how you operate this gun, is going to be different than an AR. So that's kind of, you can't really compare them. I think the AR is a little easier, but I've seen people operate this rifle really easy too. At the end of the day, they both have some negatives. I'm an AR guy. There's really not a lot negative other than the restricted status of it. Other than that, I'm really happy with the AR. At the end of the day, I'd have to say buy them both. That's what I did. I bought them both. So if I have some, a lot of 7.62 by 39 kicking around, and I got some buddies that are going to shoot these things, I have one. And if I'm going to train with ARs, which is about 89.99% of the time I'm training with an AR, I've got my ARs for that. So anyways, I'm going to put the AR points and the CZ, VZ points in the description. You guys can check them out. I hope this helps. If you have your own spin on things, please feel free to put it below. And that's it. So hopefully it wasn't too long for you guys, but you asked the question, I gave you the answer. All right, so you can see us on the web at www.civiladvantage.com. And thanks and take care.